It's the question, of course, that is at the top of mind as we go into day 4 of the Sars inquiry. Will Tom Moyane be there? Will he take the stand?
So from what we've heard this morning, Tom Moyane is expected to be the first to take the stand. He's expected to come through the normal doors of the Sars revenue here at Linton House. He's expected to be the first to take the stand. We know that there was somebody else that was supposed to take the stand at 9:30, Cecil Morden, who was also an ex-Sars employee, but Tom Moyane is expected to be here. And he's painted this inquiry as a witch hunt against him. He's always dismissed claims of the fact that the revenue service isn't performing properly and that there's a leadership and governance issue here at the Revenue Service. So he is basically here to clear his name and to probably explain why all of this has occurred under his watch and under his leadership.
Now, Heidi, it's been an explosive 3 days of this inquiry. Just take us through the testimonies yesterday in the main. I mean, there were a number of them, but let's start off with some of the testimony about Jonas Magwakwa's incredible rise to power at Sars and his use of that power not for good.
So this week has been, explosive testimony after explosive testimony, and we've seen some very important people come out saying that there has been a serious issue of leadership at the Revenue Service. Yesterday we saw the head of legal services who was, she worked very closely with Jonas Magwakwa, and he basically told her what to do and how to do it without any explanation as to why to do it. And he played a very important role in deciding how very VIP tax people, how their taxes will operate and if they should pay tax or not. Obviously, they couldn't mention any names, but we do know that Tom Moyane as well as Jonas Magwakwa have been very close to former President Jacob Zuma. So, we know that he was Tom Moyane's right-hand man, and they worked very closely together. And we know that when Jonas Magwakwa came in, he made very important decisions without any sort of explanation and kind of dismantled the structures put in place that made this revenue service what was once called the world-class tax administrator, and now obviously with a massive revenue shortfall and massive leadership issues.
Now, Heidi, the other 2 testimonies perhaps that stand out from yesterday at the inquiry is, of course, the former Deputy SARS Commissioner Ivan Pillay and the former spokesperson of SARS, Adrian Lekay, who at one point was in fact battling to hold back his tears.
So I think the story around Adrian Lekay has been a long one. It's been from 2015 when he decided that he's going to leave. And he basically cited the fact that he was always sidelined. He was never given proper information. The media was misled. You must remember that he was media liaison for SARS back in 2015 before he left. And he was explaining how he was called into a room and told that he will not handle certain matters when it comes to reporting to the media. And another colleague would rather take over those matters. It was never explained as to why, and he had to hold back his tears. I mean, his eyes filled up with tears because he was saying that he is struggling to find a job after the SARS debacle, and it's been very hard for him and his family. We also saw Ivan Pillay, the former Deputy SARS Commissioner, who looked very restrained. He wasn't speaking much. He was basically just answering what was asked, not giving any further detailed information. But we do know that he has been embroiled in the so-called rogue unit. He's been accused of kind of orchestrating the whole thing and being part of it with 2 other SARS former employees. So we heard some hectic stuff coming out of this about how things were changed without being informed, no explanation of it whatsoever, and just being told to get the job done, despite the fact that integrity and ethics came into question.
And of course, these changes to some key investigative powers at SARS is what's being blamed for the massive revenue shortfalls we've experienced over the past 2 consecutive years.
So I think, Michelle, the big question is, why does this actually all matter? And it's obviously because of the fact that this is the biggest revenue body in this country. If this revenue service does not function properly and to its full capacity, it's going to have a massive impact on our economy, obviously on the whole of South Africa, because we know that the revenue service needs to collect tax from taxpayers and then obviously give that to government, so government can pump into the various departments so the country can be functional. So when we have a revenue shortfall of about 50 billion rand, that is obviously a major concern and a major red flag. Hence why the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, came up with this commission of inquiry and obviously suspended the Commissioner, Tom Moyane, because of major leadership questions and governance, because we've seen a massive exodus of staff, very experienced senior staff that helped this revenue service be what was once called a world-class tax administrator and now has a massive revenue shortfall, and its books are in the red.
All right, well, thanks very much for that update. Our reporter Heidi Giokos is tracking that story for us. Day 4 of the inquiry into tax administration and governance at Sars. We are now being told that Tom Moyane, the suspended commissioner at the Revenue Service, will be the first to take the stand. And of course, we will take you there live right here on eNCA.